it is scary. I'm glad that it's not a long-term thing. He's very important to what they do. So I think on like the final standpoint that it absolutely is a factor, but there should be enough time for him to get back before then.
Does anyone care about Cleveland and Orlando? I feel like that series just is happening and everybody's going, it's game 7. I guess they've been somewhat interesting games, but nobody's watched. Everybody's just, you guys have fun.
Yeah, I mean,
do what you're doing. Go ahead.
I think like from the Cavs perspective, this is a huge game tomorrow. It's a 1:00 game, game 7 between these two. That if you lose that game, I don't see a world where Donovan Mitchell plays another game in a Cavs uniform. There's also plenty of other answers or questions regarding the Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, these other pieces that they do have. It is a big deal. It's been a good series, been good hoops.
It?
I mean, it's been Donovan Mitchell looking on another planet.
Donovan Mitchell looked good.
He looked unbelievable. The Magic are fun, too. Jalen Suggs hit a bunch of big shots last night. Paolo Banchero is the real deal. Franz Wagner, very good. So they're both fun teams. They're good. I don't think either of them are in the conversations of really the rest of the remaining teams as far as legitimacy, though.
All right, Sean Bernard, you've been in this studio long enough. Thank you for sticking around for Green Legion Radio. Just had to figure out. Paul George, come on, man. We got to do better than Paul George. We got to do more, not better, more than Paul George. It just can't be Paul George. It's got to be more. And as you just said, role players. But you gave us more of your time, Sean Bernard. Thank you so much for hopping on Green Legion Radio. Where can everybody follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Check out Sixers Digest. I'll have a nice video breaking down the Paul George stuff a little more in depth on there as well. A couple other videos popping out, and as well as Pick Swap Media. Keep posted for that. And I'll be back with Sean Brace doing some picks and roll this week.
Beautiful. Sounds great. We're going to take a break. Coming up next on Green Legion Radio, Chris Sack. Ooh, I think something, Reggie, who I don't know what they say. I try, and I don't get it right. But Chris Sack's going to talk with us. Sixers suck. It's baseball season. Phillies are great. And Phillies have a game tonight.
Ranger.
They can get another win, and Ranger Suarez can extend the scoreless inning streaks. So we'll talk about that coming up next with Chris Sack on Green Legion Radio.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Well, for starters, have an accident going on the Vine Street Expressway westbound right at the Schuylkill Merge. Your backup is almost the entire length of that westbound side. Now, meanwhile, a crawl on the southbound boulevard between Wissahickon Avenue on through the Schuylkill. The result of 2 right lanes taken out with construction. Pretty typical volume in all the usual spots on both sides of the Schuylkill. 95 extra congested north and southbound, especially in the area of Broad. Everybody heading down to the Monster Jam event at Lincoln Financial Field. Eric Hurd, Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by ComparionInsurance.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent. Local agent. Local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Tyler from Wendy's here. The best part of Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull-Apart is every part. Unlike mornings, which have no good parts. Until now. Because with Wendy's new breakfast Cinnabon Pull-Apart, mornings finally don't completely suck. And now that mornings have warm cinnamon sugar rolled dough and ooey gooey frosting, are they the best part of every day? Probably not, but you get the idea. Get to Wendy's today and get the best part in every bite with the new Cinnabon Pull-Apart.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Cinnabon is a registered trademark of Cinnabon Franchisor SPV, LLC.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to number 2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to number 1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to number 1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Would you love somebody to love? You better find
In March of 67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of 67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to number 7 in the U.S. with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. In May, Mitch Ryder hits number 4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967, coming up.
Who's the big winner? Everybody loses. You win some, you lose some. Winner!
Bad, Danny. Not good at all.
That's a nice saying for feeling better about losing.
You're still a winner.
But here's a phrase that's only ever been associated with winners. Hit me! Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio The Gambler on iHeartRadio. Immediate win every time.
You always think that you're going to win.
Philly's new home for Fox Sports Radio is The Gambler.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Pearl Jam songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Better Man.
She dreams and cause she dreams, can't find a better man. Can't find a better man. Can't find a better man.
Number 2, Alive. Number 1, Even Flow.
Even flow, off the road like butterflies. Oh, we don't know, so he chases them away.
Hear more from Pearl Jam and similar artists now. Search for Pearl Jam on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
The Gambler. Philly's home for all things sports gambling.
Living in this big blue world with my head up in outer space. I know I'll be A-OK. I know I'll be A-OK.
Phillies are doing A-OK here on Green Legion Radio. Fox Sports The Gambler. Jon Jansen here. Quimby will be joining us. I just got the update. Everybody got the update. Quimby just landed. He'll be home by 2 and on by 2:15. You can expect Quimby. For now, I'm going to hold it down. Hopefully good enough. I know I'm no Quimby, but maybe I can hold it down for you. We'll talk some Eagles a bit later on. They got minicamp and all these other things happening over there at the NovaCare Complex. But also happening is the Phillies staying hot. And so, of course, we got to get Green Legion's own Phillies correspondent, I guess I can call you, Chris Sack. What do they call you? What's the whole bit they do with you? What is it? The hoo-ha. How do I introduce you?
I mean, there's many ways to introduce me. It depends on who you're asking. It could be good. It could be bad. But
which one would your wife say? Is he good or bad?
That begins with an A and it ends with a hole.
Nice.
Yeah, man. But hey, at least you're giving everybody the heads up. I know everybody's waiting for Quimby to come on, but now everybody knows when to turn the dial, and that's a 2:15.
Oh, wow. So everybody's got to turn it off now just because it's me?
No. I need Quimby on today. Like when he comes on at 2:15, because he's going to rip into the Sixers, which is exactly what we do here on Green Legion Radio outside of our resident Sixers apologist, Diaz.
Oh, he can't even be an apologist anymore. Can Diaz even be an apologist anymore?
Oh, no. Oh, no, dude. I'm telling you, it is bad. He's delusional.
What is he? What could he possibly be saying after that? What could he possibly be saying?
We've got cap space. LeBron is coming.
Oh, LeBron's coming. Oh, yeah, right. LeBron's going to save the day. Yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
You know what the great part about that is LeBron doesn't have to look at schools this time because he did that 6 or 7 years ago when everybody in the process there thought he was coming. So it's just, hanging out up at the main line. But it's just, Diaz is just the ultimate, most delusional Sixers fan I've ever met in my whole entire life. But I'm looking forward to Quimby's rant later on this afternoon.
Yeah, Diaz is just a delusional person in general. I mean, that's unbelievable. You got to be gullible. You got to be some kind of sucker to be still in on the Sixers after that. You got to be some kind of sucker. That's unbelievable. I mean, you know what though? Go ahead.
No, 7 years of this. You think that you'd have enough, but Jansen, we're not here to talk about the Sixers. We're here to talk about the best team in the city right now. The hottest team in the city. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk some baseball. First of all, Trey Turner's injury, worried about it at all? It seems like it's only going to be a few days, but any worries about Trey Turner?
Hamstrings are fickle. Anytime you got the soft tissue injuries, I never like hearing that, especially a guy that relies on his legs so much. I was at the game last night with my dad and my boys, and we saw that play happening as it was going on. And I'm thinking about this earlier. I'm not really entirely, because he's been through this before. Apparently, it was his right hamstring back in 2017. He missed 12 games, I believe, during that time frame, and then he came back, and then he was Trey Turner again. So, I mean, if he misses a few days, the Phillies are built to last with that. If he's going to be out longer, I was reading a Todd Zalecki article this morning. There's a possibility Bryson Stott moves over to shortstop when they need to, and then they put with Merrifield over at second base. However, they want to mix and match. But Edmundo Sosa is very sure-handed. He's
hitting the ball well too.
He is hitting the ball well, and if you get him into the lineup, because right now, I mean, the two positions that you're going to play Sosa at are shortstop and third base, and you've got probably the hottest hitter on earth right now playing third base. So Sosa's got to get his at-bat somehow. So I was also thinking about this earlier too, Jansen. Last night, wasn't it like a typical April, early May type Phillies game that they lose? I mean, Nola goes 4 innings. Trey Turner comes out of the game with a hamstring issue. They have to turn to the bullpen. Kerkering loads the bases in the 7th inning with nobody out. He gives up a run, but he gets out of it. It's one of those games that the Phillies of the past, they're going to blow that game. This right here just seems to be a different team with how they pull through and how they found ways to win against teams that they should beat, but finding ways to win games that they shouldn't, that they don't even deserve to win. And last night was one of them. Yeah, it really were ice cold with the bats. Nola didn't have a good outing, but they pulled the win out. And now they're the best team in baseball, best record in baseball. It's pretty awesome to see here on May 4th.
Yeah, it is. And I think a big part of that, obviously Alec Boehm is hitting well, but he's a different type of hitter for the Phillies. I mean, we've seen in the postseason runs reliant really heavily on home runs. How pivotal is a guy like Alec Boehm, who's a very, very good contact hitter? That's pretty much what he's doing. He's trying to just hit the gaps. He doesn't really hit a lot of home runs. He's only had 4 this year, which is, I think, like 3rd or 4th in the Phillies. So he's not even leading them in home runs, but he's leading them in slugging by a wide margin, and he's leading them in OPS by a wide margin. There's just something that seems to be clicking and nice in a lineup to have a player and a bat like Alec Boehm.
Yeah, and he's also leading the team in RBI. So he's taking advantage of RBI opportunities. Boehm right now is a confident player. You hear people talk about the daycare. These guys are not young anymore. Boehm is 27. I believe he's turning 28 this year. Marsh and Stott are 25.
Oh, that's
26.
not young anymore. Whoa. Yeah, come on, man. I'm about to turn 30 in a couple months. Like I'm about to turn 30 in a month. You're putting that on me? 28? Yeah, they're not young anymore. What the heck is that about?
Well, they're not exactly the daycare anymore. They're not.
Fair enough.
Baseball field.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
And this coming from me, I'm 38 years old. Pretty much, over the next couple of years, there's going to be nobody in sports that's older than me anymore. So, it is what it is. You're starting to get into that gray area of life. But the way Boehm is playing right now, his confidence, out there in the diamond, you could see at the beginning of the year. He was struggling a little bit defensively that first week of the season at home, which normally with Boehm, when he's struggling in the field, he brings it to the plate. The way he has had his approach out there defensively, and really that he's really perfecting the bare hand scoop and throw right now over there at third base, but he's playing a really good third base, which is translating to the plate. And he's a very confident player right now. And they need that guy in the cleanup spot in that lineup. Yeah, you're not getting the home runs out of him that you wish you would get. Like normally in a cleanup spot, you want, say anywhere between 25 to 35 home runs in a cleanup spot. He's going to get to 20. Can he get to 25? Can he get to 30 this year as the weather warms up? He had a couple balls that, died out there in Angel Stadium the other day. And there was a few last night that the Phillies hit that just died right out there by the angle. If those balls are hit in the summertime, they're out of the ballpark. But what he is doing at the plate right now, how hot he is, and it's going to bleed over to the rest of the team. It's just you want him to still stay hot once Bryce gets hot. That's the scary thing about this team right now, John, is they are 22-11, and Bryce Harper has yet to get going. That is the scary thing about this Phillies team. And Nick Castellanos hasn't gotten going yet. Bryson Stott hasn't gotten going yet. Schwarber's batting over 200, and he's hitting home runs like he normally does. Turner's out to a hot start, one with Bohm. Marsh is now cooling off a little bit. But Bryce Harper is the straw that stirs the drink in the Phillies lineup, and he has not even hit his stride yet. And this team is the best team in baseball. It's crazy to think about. Once he gets going, the sky's the limit with this team.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the scary part is there are a couple guys in the lineup that haven't really gotten going yet. And once they do, I think that lineup's going to look really good. But the lineup, there are some guys struggling that I'm very concerned about. One of them being Nick Castellanos. There's been some hard hit balls recently. I think there was a home run a few days ago recently. Like there's been some signs of him getting out of it, but I'm concerned he can't. Are you concerned about Nick Castellanos?
Yes. I've been concerned about Nick Castellanos since Game 2 of the NLCS last year. He didn't have a good spring. He came out of it. He's come out slow. He did have the golden sombrero the other day in L.A. He did have a couple balls in 2 different at-bats where he hit it down the line, and they went just foul. But Nick is the type of player, we saw this 2 years ago, when he is going bad, he's in his own way. He's in his own head. And that's what you worry about with a guy like a Nick Castellanos, because, I'm pretty sure all baseball players look at their statistics. They look at the back of their baseball card. They know what kind of a player that they are. But, man, it's got to be difficult when you look at your statistics, a month, 5-6 weeks into the season here, and you look at your numbers, and, a couple home runs now. And he had a big home run in L.A. that tied the game the other night to set the stage for Johan Rojas to come through with the heroics. But I think he now only has 4 extra base hits on the season. That's not Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos is a doubles machine. And I think he has 1 double this year. One of the extra base hits that he has is a triple, and then he's got 2 home runs. So Nick needs to find some confidence in himself. I don't know when that's going to take place. I don't know where that's going to take place. I know last year he got off to a hot start and he really started to hit the skids, and then they went to Miami and he got to go home. They are going home to Miami here, or they're going down to Miami. So maybe he's going to be able to find himself down there when they go in their next upcoming road trip. But Nick Castellanos is a big piece of his lineup, especially with him batting 7th. He's got to be the guy driving in the runs in the bottom part of that order. And right now, it kind of feels like once it gets into that part of the order, once you get past Marsh and JT Realmuto, you're getting into that part of the lineup right there where pitchers are starting to see easy outs. That's Castellanos. It's Bryson Stott outside of his game against San Diego last Sunday where he hit 2 home runs. And Rojas has hit better over the last couple of weeks, but he's not a guy that really scares you. Castellanos and Bryson Stott at the bottom of that lineup have to be the guys. If Kyle Schwarber is going to be leading off of this team, Castellanos and Bryson Stott have to be the 2 guys that are getting on base consistently at the bottom of the order to make sure that Schwarber is coming up with runners on base instead of empty base pass where he's just hitting solo home runs. We need big home runs out of Schwarber. We don't need solo shots. That's not going to work if we're going to keep ourselves at the top of the standings in both the National League East and in all of baseball.
So the Phillies bullpen last night looked really good. Jeff Hoffman ended up striking out the side in his one inning. Jose Alvarado gets the save. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relief pitchers for the Phillies, and they all did pretty well. It's been up and down for the bullpen at times. For the most part, I think the high leverage guys have been doing really well. It's outside of that that's been a little bit shaky. How do you think Rob Thompson has handled that, and what are some things that they could do? I think it is still, like, the bullpen's good. I don't want to say anything too bad about the bullpen because overall, I think it's a success. You just see sometimes in those games where they're extending the bullpen a little bit, they are going 4 or 5 deep, that sometimes they get into a little bit of trouble. How do you think the bullpen's kind of shaping up so far this season?
Yeah, there's a couple guys in the bullpen that scare the hell out of me when they come into the ball game.
Sir Anthony's one of them. Absolutely.
Sir Anthony, Gregory Soto.
Yeah.
I do have a gripe with Topper about how he handled the bullpen on Wednesday out there in LA, and he brought in Alvarado in the 8th, and then he let Soto come out for the 9th, and I almost had a heart attack. And they almost walk-off home run, a couple more feet, and there's Schwarber out there in left field. But for the most part, the bullpen is starting to take shape. Like you said, the big guys have come to perform. Alvarado, outside of his beginning of the year on opening day, he's really come back. He's not throwing triple digits this year. I'm not sure if that's something, a tweak in his mechanics, but he's still hitting 98, 98, 99. But I really haven't seen him hit the triple digits so much so far this year. Jeff Hoffman has been phenomenal, and he's been really good over the last calendar year since he's joined the bullpen. Thank you, Bryce, again for having him doing your batting practice here at the ballpark before you came back last May. He's been a great addition to the bullpen. Kerkering, last night, bases loaded, nobody out. Listen, Kerkering last year had just as much to do with that collapse against the Diamondbacks in Game 3 as Kimbrel did. But Kerkering, he needs to rely more on his fastball. He's got a great slider. It's electric. It moves a lot. It comes in on lefties. It goes away from righties. I would love for him to have the Brad Lidge mindset of, and this guy can hit triple digits. It's not like when Lidge was 08 Lidge and he's hitting 92, 93. At most, he's hitting 94 on his fastball. But he had a fantastic slider. When he was spotting his fastball, it set the stage for the slider later on in the at bat. When you have 2 strikes, you could throw it a couple times in the dirt. That's what I want Kerkering to get himself into. Get ahead in the count with the fastball, and then at that point, when you're up 0-2, 1-2, you're 2-2 in the count, you have them sitting on the fact that, man, this guy can throw me triple digits of heat, or he can throw me that slider. Which one's coming? And then at that point, they're playing a guessing game. I would like to see Kerkering get into that a little bit more. I wish the Phillies with Caleb Cotham and Topper and JT Realmuto, I wish they would get him a little bit more into that mindset instead of let's slider and try and get ahead in the count. A lot of times that's not going to work, especially against the best hitters in baseball.
Talking Phillies with Chris Sack right now on Green Legion Radio, Fox Sports The Gambler. So what the Phillies have done in the first month and a half of the season, just about, they've gotten themselves in first in the National League East. I didn't think it would ever get to that point. I thought the Braves are always just kind of going to keep it and pretty much, I hate to say run away with it, but they were just going to be too hard to keep up with at times. But the Phillies are off to a great start. Can they keep it up? I mean, is this a division the Phillies can win?
Absolutely. I thought coming into the season that this was a division the Phillies could win. But the Braves are a great team. I mean, they won the World Series 3 years ago. I mean, they've won over 100 games the last 2 years. I think they've been in the playoffs now 6 consecutive years, or they've won the division that many years in a row. They're not going anywhere. But for me, the Braves' offensive numbers last year were historical. I didn't think that could be replicated again. Now, they have some guys in the middle of the lineup that are off to slower starts. Matt Olson's off to a slower start. Riley's off to a slower start. Acuna's had, he's got numbers, but it's not Acuna level yet. They have a really good lineup, but they lost Spencer Strider now. The thing is, for the Braves, is they're lucky right now that Max Fried has kind of found himself a little bit. Chris Sale is pitching well. Charlie Morton, but can they rely on those guys, Chris Sale and Charlie Morton, in their mid-30s to get through a whole entire season and into October? They're going to make a move at the trade deadline for a starting pitcher. There is zero doubts in my mind the Braves have one of the best bullpen, one of the best farm systems in all of baseball. they're going to make a move at the trade deadline for whatever the top pitcher may be, or one of the top tier pitchers. They're going to make a move. The Phillies are going to be there all summer with the Braves, slugging it out. And I know a lot of people are scared about, I've heard some of the media pundits in the city, it's just get to the playoffs, There's only so many times that my heart wants to go to the well in the best of three series in the wild card. I know that the last 2 years since they've switched over to the format, no National League number 1 and number 2 seed has advanced to the NLCS. They both have lost. The Dodgers and the Braves, both years they've lost in the NLDS. It's been wild card teams getting through to the NLCS the last 2 years. I don't care. I would much rather start in a best of 5 in the DS with our best going right from jump. Zach Wheeler in 1, Nola in 2, Ranger Suarez in 3 instead of Ranger in 1, Wheeler in 2. I don't care what anybody says. The Phillies have to win the division this year. Make life a little bit easier on yourselves to make that deep run in October and finally get the job done. It still leaves a really bitter taste in my mouth about how last season ended, and knowing that they had 2-0 after the first 2 games of the NLCS, and they lost 4 or 5, and the last 2 were at home with Nola and Rangers starting those games. If the Phillies win the National League Championship Series against the Diamondbacks last year, and again, this is no disrespect against the defending World Series champion Rangers, and I know how hot they were in the postseason last year, I just don't think that the Rangers would have beaten the Phillies in that World Series last year. I think the Diamondbacks were starstruck when they got there. The Phillies would have gotten there back-to-back years. I think the Phillies had the advantage in starting pitching and in the bullpen. To me, it was the biggest lost opportunity that a Philadelphia sports team has had in a long time in a championship setting. So I think this team knows it, and they only have a couple years left of this window, John, because I know, Bryce has signed for a long time and Trey signed for a long time, and now they re-signed Nola and Wheeler. But Schwarber's got a year left after this, and same thing with JT. And thankfully for Castellanos, he's got 2 years after this. But the time is now, and they have to do it with this core. It's this year and next year, and they have to get it done.
Did you make a John Cena reference? The time is now. Is that what you just did there?
Well, I mean, I would have did a Cody one. We have to finish the story.
Yeah, yeah. See, that would have been better. That would have been better.
Yeah, we have.
I like that.
Yeah, we have to finish the story. But that's where I'm at with this team. It's great. The vibes are great. Having guys on this team that that care and show up to the ballpark every day. I was just in San Diego last week. It was a phenomenal time. I had a lot of fun. I love this team and the guys that are on this team. But man, last year is still lingering over my head, and I'm sure it's lingering over theirs as well. But they have to know that they have to get the job done, and this is the year. The National League is there for the taking. The Dodgers getting Walker Buehler back on Monday. They have a great top of their lineup. Yamamoto's come back down to earth as far as pitching to Yamamoto's standards after that Korea fiasco in his first start in the major leagues. Glasnow's pitching well. Those 3 teams are going to be there all summer long. And there's always going to be one team that's going to stand out, like maybe the Brewers, maybe it's the Cubs, maybe it's the Diamondbacks again. But this team, along with the Braves and the Dodgers, one of these 3 is going to go to the World Series. And the other 2, I know the Dodgers one is a little bit fugazi, the 2020 bubble World Series. The Braves got theirs in 21. It's time for the Phillies to get theirs. And this is the year. The time to eat is now. They have to get it done.
Love it. Last question for you, Chris Sack. That was long-term outlook. Let's go to the short-term. Ranger Suarez on the mound tonight. What are we looking for tonight for the Phils?
Oh man, dude. 2 hours and 9 minutes was the game last Saturday in San Diego.
I'm down for that again. Give me 2 hours of that.
Yeah. I loved what I heard from Ranger probably a few starts ago. They had him on NBC Sports Philadelphia. He was being interviewed by Kruk and Tom McCarthy, and through the translator, he said, "I have the best catcher in baseball behind the plate, so whatever he puts down is what I'm throwing." I love that mindset. That's how Doc used to be with Carlos Ruiz, and this guy's temperament is Cliff Lee all day. He does not care one way or the other. He just wants to win. And he's the hottest pitcher in baseball right now. And that's saying a lot when you're in the rotation with Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. This guy is cold-blooded. I love everything about this guy. So we'll see how he performs tonight. The Giants don't have a lot in their lineup. They have a couple guys that, like Michael Conforto and Jorge Soler. They got a couple guys in their lineup that can hit, but he should be able to have his way. If he pitched that way against San Diego in their lineup last week, sky's the limit tonight against San Francisco.
Do you think they should keep Turnbull in the starting rotation, or should you just take the chance on trying to get Taijuan Walker acclimated and ready to go in the Phillies starting rotation? How do you think they should handle it?
I think like Taijuan Walker's going to be in the starting rotation. Last week, he gets into the seventh inning. I think Rob Thompson should have took him out of the game after the sixth inning. I was in San Diego. I was watching his start. I don't know how it translated on television, but I heard a lot of loud contact off of Taijuan Walker, and it was just hit at a lot of our players. Taijuan Walker's going to be in the starting rotation. He's making $18 million a year. They're not going to move him to the bullpen unless it's a complete fiasco. The only way Turnbull stays in the rotation is if Christopher Sanchez is coming out of the rotation or if they're trying to mix and match that spot in the rotation. But Zach Wheeler said it the other day. He doesn't want a six-man rotation. He wants to get his turn every 5 days, and that's the only way you're going to get them into a rotation. I think Turnbull, too, the guy hasn't pitched more than 59 innings since 2019. So they're trying to monitor his innings, and they're trying to keep him fresh. But remember, they did the same thing with Matt Strahm last year, and Matt Strahm became a very valuable part of their bullpen. Turnbull could, too. But I would still mix and match him in there from time to time, get him a start in there to try and keep him stretched out.
Yeah, I would. Look, they're going to get used either way, Walker and Turnbull. It's just mix and match. As you just said, they need bullpen help as well at times. So one of them in the bullpen. And if it is Turnbull, and I like what you said there, maybe he can enter in the Matt Strahm role and ends up just being kind of a flex guy for them, which I would absolutely love. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Chris Sack, always a good idea to get you on. Thank you for joining me, my friend. How's the lawn looking? You said you were mowing the lawn today. How's it looking? How'd you do?
Man, I was like a quarter of the way through the backyard, and it started to rain on me.
Oh, of course. Well done. Yeah, well, good timing by you. I mean, what if he went faster? You probably could have gotten it done.
No, I did get it done.
Okay,
no, man, I tried. Okay. No, it wasn't like downpour. If it's downpour, you got to stop. But it was, it was spitting. So it is what it is. I dealt with it. It's all done now. I get to relax the rest of the day. So I'm going to go lay on the couch now that I'm done with you.
Yeah, and enjoy some Phillies baseball tonight. Sack, thank you for joining me, man. That was awesome.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime, buddy. I'll catch you later.
That was Chris Sack here on Green Legion Radio. And Christopher Sanchez. The thing is, Christopher Sanchez is actually worth keeping in. The one I don't like is Taijuan Walker. And I think it was mentioned something about the contract as well. That the signing was a mistake. They did overpay him at the time. They were willing to overpay him. Starting pitching has been getting overpaid. So it just so happens to be the pitchers just get paid that much. But yeah, I mean, I guess trying to ride the signing and see if Taijuan Walker can be worth anything. Look, Christopher Sanchez is the one. He's young, and there's actually been some really promising things about Sanchez. So I think Sanchez should stay, and I think the Phillies are going to keep him there. I think it's probably going to be Turnbull, or it's going to be Taijuan Walker that take that fifth spot. But I think Sanchez is the one, kind of younger, again, a guy that's showing some really good promise, worth kind of keeping in there in the starting rotation. But if things get bad, I think the good thing is this is like a free-flowing situation. And if Christopher Sanchez doesn't end up doing well, then maybe he goes to the bullpen and Taijuan Walker pitches well in the starting rotation along with Turnbull. I just think there is some flexibility in there in the 4 or 5, and especially with the long-term reliever as well. There's flexibility there. And I think for the first time, that's a good thing. I can't remember the Phillies having this problem for a long time. Most of the time, it's like throw out Bailey Falter and just fingers crossed. Let's hope it works. And they got lucky last year. Throw out Christopher Sanchez as your fifth starter. Fingers crossed, hope it works. And he actually showed some promise, and he did really well last year. And I think he's doing pretty good this year as well. But it's a good thing to have where I think, and I feel pretty confident that they can find at least 2 of those 3 guys between Walker, Turnbull, and Sanchez to be a 4th, 5th starter. And that's a great thing. I think they have maybe the strongest starting rotation that they've had in the 3 years. And the top 3 has always been there. And that's why they end up winning these short series. And that's why they end up winning series against the Braves. The postseason success to me is because Walker not Walker, Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger Suarez are 3 phenomenal pitchers. So they win series and they beat teams like the Braves in the postseason because of that. But when it comes to regular season, that doesn't translate into a bunch of wins because it's only 3 of 5 games that you have covered in, throughout that span. Now they have reliable guys at every single game. The Phillies have a chance in every single game. Even if the offense is doing well, it's not doing extremely well. The offense could be a lot better. But even while the offense is kind of just being okay, the pitching and starting pitching can carry them through a lot of games and keep them in a lot of games to end up winning. And that's what they've been doing. And then you have really good high leverage guys at the end of that in the bullpen that end up doing extremely well and end up saving these games and holding these games and holding these leads. So the pitching has been awesome. And it's the first time I feel confident that they can actually compete with the Braves in the NL East. I didn't know coming into this if they would have a shot, but now that Spencer Strider's out, the Braves lineup is still really good. So that concerns me all the time. It's just the Braves consistently throughout the season are going to be great just because of how many quality bats are in that lineup. But this is the first time I think this starting rotation, especially 1 through 5, can keep up for a full season with what the Braves are doing. And that is always a great thing. You just hope that translates into postseason, and postseason, these guys are all healthy. That's it. I just need the Phillies to get into the postseason, keep somebody like Wheeler and Nola and Suarez all healthy, and we'll be good to go. But so far, everything looks great, and they look like they can compete for the NL East. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back here on Green Legion Radio, Quimby is going to be joining us. Also, I just found out Trey Turner is going to be on the IL. They're going to send up Cody Clemens again. Cody Clemens ended up doing well the first time he came up. But yeah, Trey Turner on the 10-day IL. Up comes Cody Clemens. So there is your Trey Turner news. Probably a good thing. No need to be rushing Trey Turner out there, especially as Sack mentioned earlier. Soft tissue stuff. You just don't want this to linger around. You don't want this to be something that hampers him throughout the season, and he's dealing with it. You just want it to be over with. So good thing they put him on the 10-day IL, and we'll see after that if he does end up returning. But Trey Turner on the 10-day IL, then Cody Clemens is going to be brought up to the Phils. All right, coming up next on Green Legion Radio, again, Quimby is going to be joining us. Just landed. He'll join us at 2:15. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say about the Sixers, and maybe we can go over a little bit of the draft as well. We went over it last week a little bit, but still more to go over with the draft and Eagles minicamp that is going on. So plenty to talk about. Quimby joining us next. Green Legion Radio.
Great news. The cash contest is back. The Gambler and Gary Barbera on the Boulevard have teamed up yet again to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket. All you have to do is keep it locked to the Gambler, and at the top of every hour, listen for the keyword and get over to our website, foxphlgambler.com, and enter to win $1,000. That's 9 times a day. So is the Gambler and Gary Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
At Gary Barbera's Auto Palooza, you got a buck, you're in luck. All makes, all models, instant credit, $1 down delivers, and 50 of them from the land under 20 grand. Is Barbera's on the Boulevard the best? Boy, I guess.
A gain sent bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted,
Imagine
"Sir,
a world
your
where
scent
animals and
Maraca
humans
smell
coexist
amazing."
in harmony,
Actually,
where wild
Jim,
animals
most noses
thrive,
call them
habitats are
Gain scent
protected,
beads.
and marginalized
Try
communities
Gain scent
are
beads.
empowered.
Way
At
fresher
International
than
Animal
traditional-
Rescue, this is our vision. Our holistic, community-led projects not only rescue animals, but also protect and replenish precious habitats, creating a better future for us all. But we can't do this without you.
Hey, if you're listening to me right now, I have one thing every business needs most: attention. Think about it. We swipe and scroll past stuff all day, but when we're driving, cooking, working out, we're also listening. That's the magic of audio at iHeart. We're in your next customer's ears while they're living life and listening, just like you are right now. So get your customers to listen up today using radio, digital, and podcasts. Call 844-ADD-HELP-5. That's 844-ADD-HELP-5.
Is your family ready to hop in the Blippy Mobile? Wait, are you thinking what I'm thinking? road trip! Whether it's a visit to a vrooming monster truck rally or a dinosaur-filled prehistoric era, Blippi and Nika's road trip is full of interactive sounds, fun facts, songs, games, learnings, and discoveries. Awesome! Listen to Blippi and Nika's road trip on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Blippi and Nika's road trip to start listening.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Gold has gone up more than 81% in the last 5 years. Central banks are ditching the dollar and U.S. Treasuries are buying more gold. Everyone wants to protect their retirement with gold. You can do the same. And if you do it this month, Noble Gold Investments will give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin if you open a qualified account. Just use the promo code GOLD. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live US-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Freeform Radio, a unique blend of Americana, classic alternative, and roots rock.
You belong in my sweet heart. Where the song turns on sweet.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search Freeform Radio, and listen now, commercial-free. Free never sounded so good.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to #2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to #1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to #1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Would you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
In March of 67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of 67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to #7 in the U.S., with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. In May, Mitch Ryder hits #4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967, coming up.
Your home for Villanova basketball is WDAS and WD273D, Fox Sports Radio, Philadelphia.
Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Philadelphia 76ers mop crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and of course mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Visit alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
It's the Marketer's Report. Today, Capital One's Chief Brand Officer, Mark Mentry, weighs in on building loyalty with customers.
Capital One has really worked to create amazing access moments for our customers. We will do sound check parties that only Capital One cardholders can get access to, and we can't pull that off without iHeart.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, schedule your free consultation today at QC Kinetics. Call 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations like Freeform Radio. Search Freeform Radio and listen now on your free iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Meteorologist Chris Sowers with your 6 ABC weather update. Cloudy and cool out there today. Not a nice way to open up the weekend. There will be a few showers out there from time to time. The high is just 63. Overnight tonight, showers continuing with a low 50. For tomorrow, the morning may start out dry, but we're expecting showers to redevelop during the late morning, early afternoon, maybe even a steadier period of rain and a high of just 61. Have a great day.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Spring into deals at Lowe's with up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select LG major appliances. Offers valid through 5/15. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
Boy makes bets.
Let's do this.
Boy wins bets. Hooray! Boy makes bigger bets.
What the hell are you doing, dude?
Boy loses everything.
Damn it.
Boy lives under a bridge with only a radio.
Seriously? You lost the bet?
Boy listens religiously to the Gambler.
Philadelphia right now is the most talented team in the
Boy
East.
did all those things in the wrong order.
That's the truth.
First step,
Start here.
us.
Including you, Dan. I did not bet.
Philly's new home for Fox Sports Radio is
I will be your preacher teacher.
The Gambler.
iHeartRadio. Soundtrack. Flashback.
Deep down, we're all Ducky. Pretty in Pink in 1986, another teen classic, had a huge soundtrack full of hits that we now call alternative. The biggest of all, If You Leave by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
I touch you once, I touch you twice. I won't let go at any price.
For more great movie soundtrack hits, check out Popcorn Radio on the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to Green Legion Radio. Not joining us at 2:15 will be Quimby, because Quimby stuck at baggage, it looks like. Still waiting for bags. He sent that to me. 203, still waiting for bags. Is that the worst thing? Because I've flown a few times recently in the past calendar month. Quimby travels a lot, so Quimby would have a better answer to this than me. Because I don't fly all that much, and then when I did, I hate to brag, but I would travel around. I called play-by-play for the East Carolina women's basketball team when I was in college. Took a lot of chartered flights, some commercial, but like chartered flights. It is nice. Didn't really have to do all the hassle of, getting on a plane and going through security and all that stuff. It was easy. Just walked up, put my bag up. It's good to go. But I've been flying a little bit more recently. I think waiting for bags is the worst part of it, because definitely getting on board and waiting for everyone to get everything ready and putting things up in the shelves, like it's a hassle, it's a pain. And then even getting off, it's a pain. You got to wait, especially if you're in the back of the plane. You got to wait for everybody to get their bags, get settled, and you're going like one row at a time, and it's waiting. But baggage to me is the worst one, because that's when you're finally like, I'm dying to get home. I'm just ready. I'm done. I'm done with all this. Dying to get home. And it's the one that's like you're so close, and you're just waiting for that bell to look up. That bell. That the whatever light to go off, like, yes, this is going. I hate waiting for that. And then as it's going around, waiting for your bag. Because again, you're so close to going home. Like, you're so close to being able to just get in your car, go back home. But baggage to me is the worst part. I don't know what the worst part. I got to ask Quimby that because Quimby's done a lot of traveling. Like, what's the worst part of traveling, and especially on flights? That's mine. That's my hell. It is. It's the absolute worst. I hate it. And you're just sitting there, and everybody's miserable too because you just got off a flight and flying. I don't know. I think flying sucks. I hate flying, but I do it, and I don't have a fear of it. But I don't like flying at all. I would rather drive anywhere than fly. But baggage is the worst of it. Like, that's the one that definitely gets me. That is my personal hell when I'm getting out of the airport and you got to wait for baggage. Again, I want to ask Quimby that question because he's done a lot of traveling. All right. Green Legion Radio, Fox Sports The Gambler. Speaking of my personal hell, speaking of things that suck, speaking of things we probably don't want to talk about, hello, your Philadelphia 76ers. Season's over, and I mean, it's just, I can't, the one thing I've been seeing a ton of, and Diaz, I'm talking straight to Diaz, apologist for the Sixers, apparently. Chris Sack was telling me that Diaz still thinks the Sixers are in a great spot. There's positives to take away. They're going to get somebody like maybe Paul George, LeBron James. Everything is going to be awesome. They have cap room. They have Maxey. Things are good. It's not that simple. It is never, will never, can never be that simple with the Sixers. I'm not taking any of this away positively. I'm not thinking positive about the team. I think it's kind of delusional to think positive about the team. Embiid's going to be hurt all the time. Like, that's it. Embiid had a great series, and I'm not blaming Embiid at all, but Embiid was hurt. Again, a knee injury. Again. So what's going to happen next year? No knee injury this time? The year after that, no knee injury. The knee injury stuff just went away. The knee problems are all good. Joel Embiid's fixed. Great. Joel Embiid's fine. No. This is what he is the rest of his career. Joel Embiid will be questionable every single postseason with knee injuries. Every single postseason. Maybe not missed games, but it's going to affect him. It's going to be like this the rest of his career, that he is one bad step away from that knee twisting in a way it shouldn't, and the knee not holding up, and him being hampered by it. So I can't think positive, especially about a player that I don't know if he's ever going to be fully 100% healthy for the playoffs ever. And that's a reality. That's not like, oh, you're just waiting for it to happen. No, it's happened. It's happening. It's ongoing. It will always be there for the rest of his career, these knee injuries. I just don't know if I can think positive about that as the years go on. I can't think positive about, well, the offseason will fix things. They have cap space. Has Daryl Morey fixed anything? What has Daryl Morey fixed? I guess he got some assets for James Harden. Good. He got himself out of a really bad situation that he put himself in by getting Harden. So what do they do with all that money now? And is Morey the right one to be making these signings? Because it's not as simple as just, well, you get Paul George and Sixers are great. You get Paul George and the Sixers, finally, they have their big three. Have we seen big threes? And by the way, Paul George, not a young dude. He's like 35. It's like trying to get James Harden all over again. It can't be the answer. These aging star players that are frequently injured and rely on them through an 82-game season and through the entire postseason to carry that team. Because one of them is young Maxey. He can do it. Maxey can do it. But you're relying on Embiid and Paul George as well to help carry the load for that amount of time. It just can't work. It's going to take a lot more than just Paul George to fix everything. The Sixers really need to build this. I don't trust them to build it. They've built nothing. All they do, spend money on or try not spend money, but try to look for and acquire the biggest name you can, the biggest star player you can, and then get a bunch of guys on the veteran minimum and hope it works. That doesn't work. The Knicks weren't throwing out there Kyle Lowry. The Knicks weren't throwing out a 38-year-old aging point guard. You know who the Knicks threw out there? Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein, Deuce McBride. That's who they were throwing out there. Legit, good, young role players. And getting better. That's the part is. It's like the Knicks can get better. I don't know what the Sixers get. If they get these aging players, it's not they get better. They're probably getting worse slightly. They're not all like LeBron James. They don't age that well. So I just don't think that the Sixers can continue to do this. They need to get younger. They need to build better. They need more than just one player. They need probably 4 or 5 to get this done. They had a lot of guys on one-year deals. I expect maybe a handful of them, not even a handful, just a couple of them to come back. I imagine Kelly Oubre is going to come back. I imagine you could probably keep around a guy like Cam Payne on a very small contract. That's fine. But you're going to need to build the entire bench and even some significant parts of your starting lineup with Tobias Harris now pretty much walking after his contract. You got to fill your starting lineup. You got to fill a couple of your starting lineup roles. I don't trust Daryl Morey to do that. And yeah, Tobias Harris, as Lou is saying here, comes off the books. And if they don't mess up, they'll have cap space to make things happen. I completely agree. It's just that, can it all happen now, soon? Can it happen next year? Can it happen in 2 years? I just don't know what can happen because this is something that they've been trying to do for like 10 years now. Ever since like the end of the process era and they started trying to cash in on all of these draft picks, they've been trying to build teams like the Knicks, trying to build teams. Maybe the Knicks are a good example, but Boston. They've been trying to build like Boston, build like Phoenix did before they traded everything away for Kevin Durant, which seems like it was a big mistake. Try and build a team like Denver. Build a team from the ground up, but build it that a cohesive roster, get quality players, identify quality players, and build this really strong starting lineup, strong squad, not just build off of superstars. All Daryl Morey does is build off of superstars. He just keeps building with superstars. It's not working. So Daryl Morey, I hope, can identify, yeah, we need to fix this. But this Sixers organization, again, has been trying to do this for 10 years, and they haven't been able to. So I can't just have blind faith of, well, they have cap space, so things are going to be great. They've never been. They've never been able to do this. And they had, man, the thing that's wild about it, and what, like, the sobering reality of the Knicks series was the guys that they're looking for and probably need, the guys that I'm describing to you about what the Sixers need, not outside of the Paul Georges, but other role players, other guys in the starting lineup, other guys you can have on your bench that really grow your roster, that you can compete on a big time level with a team like the Boston Celtics, who are deep, who have a lot of depth and have a lot of quality players. If you want to compete to that, you need role players, the really good role players. And the Knicks have those guys. And guess where they found them? Guess where they found those guys? And they didn't draft all of these guys. All 3 of them have come through different forms of free agency or trade. But still, the Knicks found the Villanova players. They found the guys that the Sixers have had in their own arena, in their backyard. It's not even backyard. Villanova plays at the Wells Fargo Center. Heck, they've probably been a bigger draw. I hate to say bigger draw, but they've been a pretty big draw at the Wells Fargo Center. Jay Wright's had a lot of success. They had the most success at the Wells Fargo Center recently, and more than the Sixers. Those guys were there. They had actually one of them. They had Mikal Bridges. It's just so funny, though, in the Knicks series to see, you look at not Jalen Brunson. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's been great, but it's more Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. Sixers could use those guys. And the Sixers couldn't find them in their own arena, right there. They couldn't find Mikal Bridges. They couldn't keep him. I just find that hilarious. And the irony of that happening in the Knicks series, of those guys beating you. And those are the guys that, you can hate on, and I'm sure there's some listening right now that go, well, I don't like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. Great. They're good basketball players. They're winning basketball players. They're great role players. Dante DiVincenzo would be an awesome addition. Great 3-point shooter. He'd be an awesome addition to the Sixers. But they don't look for players like that. They don't look for players like Dante DiVincenzo or Josh Hart. They're not trading for that. They're not trading for OG Anunoby. What they're trading for is James Harden. And what they're looking for in free agency is Paul George. Need more than that, guys. You need more than that. Yes, Andrew, the Sixers' pain is just never ending. It's absolutely awful. And there's no positives for me. You're not going to get a positive from me. I don't have a positive. There will be no positive about the Sixers. So, like, yeah, they have cap space in the offseason. Great. Joel Embiid, well, you know, he actually did well in the postseason. Well, he was also hurt too, and he's going to be hurt again. Great. And it's going to get worse. Great. The only thing, maybe, they have this awesome player in Tyrese Maxey. And I think they definitely have themselves an extended window here, but let's just say things go sideways with Embiid, things don't work out, and Embiid's not with the Sixers anymore in like 2 or 3 years. Maxey's a 26-year-old at that point. His team. Sixers build around Maxey. It's good. You have a star player, it looks like, that you, at least one of like 2 star players that you probably need on a team. He's one of them. And Maxey has been excellent. So good. You got that player. Build around him. Well, great. You didn't build around Joel Embiid, though. So how can I expect anything to change? I mean, it would have to drastically change. The entire front office, the entire organization almost has to change top to bottom for me to really feel confident that they can even take advantage of somebody like Maxey at 23 years old playing the way he is in the postseason. 23. It took Joel Embiid till he's 30 to have this kind of performance. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but yes, the Sixers are Philly's version of the Dallas Cowboys. Process 100% was a failure. I hate what became of the process. And a lot of it, again, is because they're trying to cash in all these tickets to build a team, and they missed on all the draft picks. And so the process did also lead them to, and once they got out of it, led them to go like all in for these players, and they kept missing. So when you miss, now you don't have any assets anymore because you're trying to trade in other players, because when you cash in, that also means you got to bring some other players in. So you trade away assets, and you're really just going all in for this group of players, and it didn't work. And so now they've been stuck. And also, I don't know, there was a side effect of the process. You can say whatever you want about the process got him Joel Embiid. Great. There was a side effect there. Organizationally, the side effect was they became losers. They still kind of losers. They never really got out of that. They are currently, as it stands, losers. And it started with the process, and they've never really gotten themselves out of that. So yeah, I think it is. Also, I will go back to that, yes, because the Sixers, and I like this, the Sixers are the Phillies version of the Dallas Cowboys. That is a reality. And I like that because it's not just regular season. It is a bunch of analytics and numbers, everything that you look for when you're looking at, a team like Denver and Boston. You look at the analytics and go, well, those teams are great. The Sixers have been right up there with those teams. They've been up there with the Boston. When Embiid was healthy, Sixers were second in net rating. Sixers were top 10 in net rating last year. And there were a lot of things that said the Sixers team was really good last year. So they go in, they have this amazing regular season. All the numbers are telling everybody this team is it. This team has it. This team can compete with a Boston, this team can compete with anybody on that level because the numbers say it. And just like the Cowboys every year, Dak Prescott, man, the numbers are saying that guy was playing like a top 5 quarterback last year, top 3 quarterback. And guess what? He was. Dak Prescott was having an excellent season last year. One of the stats, and you're not going to hear stats on Green Legion Radio too often, so when Quimby's not here, I'm going to throw out some stats. It's EPA, estimated points added. And so EPA per play, it's a good thing if you're adding points. And so, and you're doing things to continually benefit your team. Dak Prescott was like top 5, top 3 in EPA last year. Dak Prescott was awesome. The Dallas Cowboys were awesome. They were an amazing offense. They had a solid defense. That Dallas team last year legitimately should have been a Super Bowl contender. Legit. The numbers say it. Obviously, you don't believe it because the Cowboys have shown time and time again they're losers. But the numbers all said that team should easily be a Super Bowl contender. They lost to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. They got stomped. So it's the same thing. Like Sixers kind of got stomped. Everything says they're good. Everything says they're better than the Knicks, and they couldn't beat them. So yeah, they are. And I saw somebody mention Josh Harris and We're in basketball mediocrity, and the organization is only going to get worse since Josh bought the Washington Commanders. Yeah, it's going to keep getting worse. Like, I don't trust this organization to change any of that. It's a bad organization, and the vibes feel like, I just think Josh Harris is Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones is kind of out front of everything, and he's a little bit too involved. Josh Harris seems like a little hands off. Just like, go ahead, Daryl. You got it. I gave you the keys to this thing. You got it. Just make sure it's not ruined. Make sure I'm making money and we're winning a bit. All good. You can do whatever you want, Daryl. So he's a little hands off, but it's more of the organization itself that comes off to just not get it, to be a little off-putting, really not a team you can connect with. And I'm not just saying that as an Eagles fan. I think Dallas Cowboys organization is run a little weird, run a little odd. They don't get it sometimes. And the Sixers organization doesn't get it. Heck, the first time they did was probably the 2,000 tickets that they gave away. Sixers fans and everybody was calling for the Sixers to really get there and make this feel like a home game and not a home game for the Knicks at the Wells Fargo Center. So the Sixers did a great thing. Like, you know what? We heard you guys. Let's do some good PR. Let's do some good things for the community. 2,000 tickets are going to be spread out. It's a Josh Harris, it's Sixers ownership that is taking control of this, along with Michael Rubin of Fanatics, and they're going to distribute 2,000 tickets to first responders, nurses, all of that. All these people that serve the Philadelphia community will give them tickets. And it felt like the first time, the Sixers get it. The Sixers organization's listening to us. Good. They get it. They get what to do to make things right, or to at least act like they care. But most of the time, the Sixers just seem like they don't care. They really don't. They don't care about the city. They don't care about the team. They just don't care. And I wish I felt that a little bit more. And I know Embiid loves the city. Embiid does care. But sometimes even he can be like the comments that he's making after the game about he loves New York. New York's great. Harmless comment, but does he need to be making that comment? Giving excuses all the time? Is that somebody that's taking ownership of his part and what he does for the Sixers? I don't know. He did say he needs to be better at the end of the series, so I'll give him that. But during the series, it was still a lot of excuses. So like that stuff keeps happening. There is a sort of unlikable quality about the Sixers. There's a not good vibes about the Sixers. And it's just the entire organization feels disconnected from the city and from the fans. And that sucks. And that's ownership all the way down. Tuned in to Green Legion Radio, Fox Sports The Gamble. We're going to actually take a break here. Quimby is going to join us. I don't know when. It's at 2:15, but he said he was waiting for bags. That was at, what was that at? That was at 2:03. He sent me that text. So hopefully by now, man, if he's waiting out there for 28 minutes to wait for his bags, what if, that would be a worst case scenario. What if the bags didn't come? What if Quimby is not giving me an update because he is too busy trying to figure out where his bags went? Oh, that would suck. I would hate that. But hopefully he got the bags in a reasonable time and he's just on his way home and he's getting everything set up for the studio. So potentially, hey, this is a surprise. I've never done this kind of tease. This is a surprise. Will Quimby be ready to hop on the show? Find out. Coming up next, right here, Green Legion Radio.
Great news. The cash contest is back. The Gambler and Gary Barbera on the Boulevard have teamed up yet again to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket. All you have to do is keep it locked to the Gambler, and at the top of every hour, listen for the keyword and get over to our website, foxphlgambler.com, and enter to win $1,000. That's 9 times a day. So is the Gambler and Gary Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
At Gary Barbero's Auto Palooza, you got a buck, you're in luck. All makes, all models, instant credit, $1 down delivers, and 50 of them from the land under 20 grand. Is Barbera's on the Boulevard the best? Boy, I guess.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Well, first of all, a reminder that we have a regatta on the Kelly Drive detouring you between Fountain Green Drive and Strawberry Mansion Drive till 5 o'clock this afternoon. So a heads up on that score. Eastbound Schuylkill, pockets of volume, some of which are very heavy. 202 all the way in through Spring Garden on the westbound side. Your packed solid Bear Avenue to the Vine and City out through the Blue Route. Vine Street Expressway westbound. Packed solid here, the 8th Street ramp on in through the Schuylkill Merge. Eric Herr, Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell's new Cravings Value Menu is a big deal, or rather, it's 10 big deals. From new items like the loaded nachos to familiar favorites like the spicy potato soft taco. Check it out at a participating Taco Bell today. Available for a limited time only while supplies last.
Is your family ready to hop in the Blippi Mobile?
Wait, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Road trip!
Whether it's a visit to a vrooming monster truck rally or a dinosaur-filled prehistoric era, Blippi and Nika's road trip is full of interactive sounds, fun facts, songs, games, learnings, and discoveries.
Awesome!
Listen to Blippi and Nika's road trip on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Blippi and Nika's road trip to start listening.
Ew. Gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Remarkable change begins with daring to be different. Baby, I'm on a mission with Boost Mobile, putting the latest phones in the hands of more people. Introducing the Signature Coach Prime Razor, only from Boost Mobile. Rush to your nearest Boost Mobile retailer and get your Signature Coach Prime Razor on us. Get after it.
When you switch in with ID verification, select plans only. Offer valid 4/19/24 through 5/23/24. While supplies last. Taxes extra. New customers only. Must remain active and in good standing on the $60 a month plan for 6 months to receive all credits. Offer subject to change.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No. Call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it. It's The Gambler.
Ew. Gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Philadelphia 76ers mop crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and of course mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Visit alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
CEOs you should know, brought to you by Comcast Business.
Gary Holloway Jr., CEO of GMH Communities, and we're right here in Delaware County. The mission of GMH Communities is to provide housing through 3 verticals. We have a student housing vertical, a conventional multifamily vertical, and something called innovative living. I'm second generation in the business, and family means everything to us. I think one of the ways you know that we're succeeding is just the tenure of our employees. So we have employees now that are over 25 years, a dozen that are over 20 years, and we have a whole slew of folks that have been with us 10 years. For us, business means family. My first job was Hill Seafood in Delaware County, and I lasted about an hour. I mean, the odor and everything else about it was just horrific to me. There's so many things you can take from all the jobs you've had over the years, and in society, it takes different people to get through day to day. So if you eat fish, there's someone cleaning the fish on the other end. In our business, we're fully integrated. So we have a full vertical, which means we do the maintenance from the leasing all the way up through the corporate duties. You have to value each one of those positions because without them, you wouldn't have the community. Multifamily units make housing affordable. And that's something we need in this country, especially today. When you look around where interest rates have gone, it's even that much more important. Best way to find out more about GMH would be on the web, gmhcommunities.com, and we're also on all the major social media platforms.
Comcast Business, the complete connectivity solution, cybersecurity, internet, and mobile, all from one provider. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special.
It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even same day. And now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Offer N61. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for is finally here. It's Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jeff Dye back in the ring for an all-new season of the Wrestling with Freddie podcast.
That's right, Freddie. Get ready as we highlight the most jaw-dropping matches, dissect the fiercest feuds, and uncover the latest twists and turns in the world of pro wrestling.
And we obviously can't wait to hear from you, the Federation. Without you guys, none of this is possible. Listen to Wrestling with Freddie on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Gambler. Phillies home for all things sports gambling.
Green Legion Radio, Fox Sports, The Gambler. Jon Jansen here filling in for Quimby. We'll see if Quimby gets on, but it doesn't seem like he's going to get on. No Quimby. He got his bags. He got the cab. Not a fan of how everything went down. Poor Quimby. But Quimby will be on next week. So there you go. That's your update there. Quimby tried. He landed it too and just got home. And apparently it's not too long of a drive from the airport to where he lives. So it did take a while. The process took a little bit. So poor Quimby. Quimby will join us next week, though. That's fine. So I got you for the rest of the time here for the next about 15, 20 minutes or so. All right, so I do want to talk a little bit of Eagles first, because there is rookie minicamp going on there, and rookie minicamp I think starting yesterday or sometime this week. There's not going to be anything notable about the rookies. It's just one, cool seeing Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out there in 54 in Eagles green for the first time. That's cool. That's nice. But outside of that, you're really not going to get much. Nick Sirianni did mention Quinyon Mitchell showing a lot of speed. I love that. I love that he's already kind of making some plays on 7-on-7. It's just good that at least Sirianni is saying, and I don't know if reporters have been able to watch any of the practices or any of the 7-on-7s. I don't think they're allowed to yet. But I do think it's good that we are hearing there is physical traits that he has that are already kind of jumping off the charts. Like a first-round talent you want to see on the field, maybe not making every play, maybe not always in position, maybe not doing everything correctly. Guy's still got to learn, right? He's got to learn the scheme. He's got to learn the defense. He's got to learn to be an NFL player. So there's not going to be a perfect rookie coming in. But all you want to see out of a rookie or just to hear is, yeah, that guy's a freak. You just want to hear that guy looks like a first-round pick. And so the fact that Quinyon Mitchell already is showing flashes of that great burst he had when he was at Toledo and the 4.33 speed that he ran at the 40-yard dash, that's great. That's all I want to hear. I just want to hear something like that about a first-round pick. So the fact that he is showing off already kind of freakish ability, and it's notable for somebody like even Nick Sirianni to say, that's a really good thing. And are we going to get defense this year? I think so. I think the Eagles are going to have a ton of defense this year. And a lot of it's the rookie class that they brought in, the signings that they had. It's not perfect. Not everything was a perfect fix. And not everything was I hate to say a perfect fit because things did fit pretty well. But it wasn't like they completely built this defense into a wrecking machine. But it's going to be better. And I think also that it's going to have a little bit of versatility, a little bit of depth. I love what they did on defense. I love the fact that they got younger at defensive end with Bryce Huff. They needed to get younger, and a guy that's shown a lot of promise and not have to pay as much as you would Hassan Reddick, who is over 30. Also, you have Jalen Carter going into his second year. I think that automatically is going to be a big jump, and he's going to be one of the better defensive players for the Eagles. Probably the best defensive player. I still think he was last year. I think he will be again this year. Then you get C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who can move to safety to nickel. You have Cooper DeJean, who could be a safety nickel. You have Quinyon Mitchell, who's basically going to take the outside spot opposite of Darius Slay. They're probably going to get rid of James Bradbury. And then you have Reed Blankenship. Also, Sidney Brown can play. He's a backup for sure. He looks like a backup safety, but Sidney Brown can play. You got some depth. You got a really good defense there. Now, the only thing you're kind of just throwing at the wall and hoping it sticks is linebacker. You're hoping Nakobe Dean stays healthy and fits. You're hoping Jeremiah Trotter Jr. stays healthy and fits. Those are two undersized, not athletic linebackers, though, that just have a really good college tape and show really good instincts. But there's going to be some questions of what happens at the point of attack at the line of scrimmage. Are they able to shed blocks? Can they at least be athletic enough to avoid blockers? All of that stuff, it comes into question. I don't know if it's going to work, but you're not asking them to do much. I mean, the Eagles, when they had a good defense, when TJ Edwards was here, TJ Edwards wasn't a phenomenal linebacker. It's not like he was an amazing athlete. He's essentially undersized too. He's the same size, runs the same 40-yard dash as Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is essentially like a TJ Edwards. And TJ ended up being good enough for that defense, and was really productive for that defense. Now you have also a defensive coordinator who is a veteran and probably could teach up somebody like Trotter Jr. pretty well and Nakobe Dean pretty well. So I think it's a good thing that you do have a great mind and a veteran presence that should be able to teach and coach these guys up pretty quickly. But that would be the only concern. But is the defense actually going to play well this year? I do. I think so. And if it doesn't, it's not without a lack of effort. I think they made all of the right moves. If it doesn't work, that sucks, and it may ruin their season. But I think they're coming in with a good defense. I thought they had a good plan in the offseason. They executed a good plan. They drafted well. They got good free agents, and they were able to keep pretty much their entire offense intact without having to compromise anything, and in fact, added to their offense without compromising anything defensively. They did well. Like, I'm excited for Quinyon Mitchell. I'm excited for Cooper DeJean. I'm excited for Bryce Huff. I know those are all questionable, and it's not. So what the Eagles had with Hassan Reddick was the safety, the assurance of knowing Hassan Reddick's going to be a really good player. Hassan Reddick's going to pile up and probably have double-digit sacks on the season, and he's going to be really good. There's assurance there, knowing that he's a good player, but he's probably wasn't ever going to live up to whatever contract they gave him. And I think it's okay. The process of getting a younger player and a player that is showing production and growth, I love that. You got a 25-year-old who's showing growth. Perfect. He had 10 sacks last year with the Jets. He's going to need extended playing time. He's going to need to learn how to stop the run. He's going to need to learn how to be on the field pretty much. He's on the field 30% of the time with the Jets, and mostly all in just passing situations. He's going to need to be on the field probably 70, 75% of the time. He's going to need to be better. So defense, yeah. Defense, I think, is good. And Quinyon Mitchell is a big part of that. So I like hearing that your first round talent is showing physical traits of a first round talent. If they jump out in that way, perfect. That's all you want. You don't care how they're actually performing. You just want to know, yes, this guy is a first round talent physically. The other thing I like too, though, is there is some veteran leadership that has gone away. Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey. It's essentially a new crop of veterans for the Eagles. Jordan Mailata and A.J. Brown are at rookie minicamp, and they were observing, they were watching, they were probably helping coaching guys. It just feels like, and kudos to the previous regime, to what Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, the environment that they were able to bring these guys in and teach them what good leadership looks like. Teach them how to be a good leader. That carries over. And I think it's carrying over really well. Jordan Mailata is a leader. Jordan Mailata is now a vet. It's crazy to think about. But Jordan Mailata is a vet. A.J. Brown's a vet. Like, those are the top dogs of the Eagles now. Those are top guys. So it's really just, it's great to see that there is a carryover. And again, such a great job from the previous guys that were there to continue on what I think is a very good culture, to continue on with what I think is a very good locker room. That seems like it's continuing. So it's really cool to see Jordan Mailata and A.J. Brown out there. It's not like making or breaking the Eagles season. It's notable, though, and I think it's something that is very good. So Eagles minicamp going on, and Andrew saying no excuses for Jalen this year. That offense is loaded. No excuses for anyone in that offense. That includes Jalen. And obviously more responsibility on Jalen because Jalen's the quarterback. But yeah, that offense is loaded. Can't be bad. So that's up to Kellen Moore, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts. I think those three guys, because the offensive line should be good. Wide receiver is going to be productive. You have a great running back. Everything's good. It's just that the guys that have to take advantage of it are your head coach, your offensive coordinator, who they just brought in Kellen Moore, and Jalen Hurts. Those three guys can't fail. And it's not all just on Hurts. I think it really does come down to how they change the offense. The offense wasn't good last year because schematically, they were beat a lot schematically. They didn't really adjust their offense at all. Teams figured them out, and the Eagles had no way of adjusting to it, which is kind of odd. You should be able to with all that talent. They just couldn't. You hope Kellen Moore brings in a more diverse play call and a diverse scheme that fits what you do well, but adds more to it. Gives them other options to use to end up beating a defense because they seem like they had very little. Now there's many ways schematically, hopefully, that they can beat you. But while also maintaining the strengths of what Jalen Hurts does well. He's a good runner, good deep ball thrower. What's going to help out, too, is Saquon Barkley is going to take the load running the ball. And Saquon Barkley probably is going to take most of the responsibility of the running game in a way Miles Sanders even couldn't. So it's been all up to Jalen Hurts to be the one to bring defenders into the box, to have their eyes into the backfield. Now it's Saquon Barkley. Eyes are in the backfield automatically because one of the most dangerous players, maybe the most dangerous player on the field at that time is going to be Saquon. That's going to open so many things up for Hurts. So yeah, I mean, it is. Look, Jalen has to play better. There are no excuses for Jalen, but there's no excuses for anyone in that offense. That offense better perform well. There is too much money in that offense. There is too much talent in that offense. You have it in every place. They're talented from the offensive line to the wide receivers to the running backs now, I think, are really talented after getting Will Shipley from Clemson. Now you have talented running backs. And I think they have a talented quarterback. They got to take advantage of that, though. That is up to Jalen. That is up to Kellen Moore, and that is up to Nick Sirianni. And there is no excuse for any of those guys if things go wrong offensively. They better be good. And Andrew saying again, coach still worries me. Nick doesn't seem like he gets it. Look, last year he didn't. Like last year the Eagles didn't get it. That's 100% true. You should be able to adjust to what teams are doing to you. It was simple. Like you can't figure out how to beat a blitz. Teams figured out your RPO. What else do you got? Turns out they had nothing in the playbook. So Nick does worry you a little bit, again, offensively in that way, schematically in that way. The good thing is, I think he's bringing in just some new ideas with Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore showed some really good promise with Dallas. Now, the one season he was with the Chargers, I don't count that one because that was a lame duck season for Brandon Staley. That season was never going to be good. So I think Kellen Moore, I can give him a pass, but he brings in new ideas. So I think he ends up covering for Nick Sirianni in that area. What I don't worry about, what I still like about Sirianni, I know sometimes it could sound weird, but that locker room still, it wasn't just on Sirianni. Like Sirianni did get these guys to a Super Bowl. It was partly his offense. He knows now he needs new ideas, and it's a young coach that probably just needs a little bit of a wake-up call of, okay, this scheme that I thought was going to be foolproof and work all the time, I'm going to need to do more with it. I can't just do and keep things so simple because he was keeping things really simple. I don't think he was doing that just for Jalen. That's something that he said immediately when he came to the Eagles. And Nick Sirianni likes to keep things simple. And simple to him was have a few different kinds of plays And those plays having so many options to them that you could beat any defense anytime with those just handful of plays. Doesn't work like that. You're going to need to do more. And I think Sirianni recognizes that. That's why he gets Kellen Moore. So I think this is a good thing. So it should worry you about the offense if the scheme is going to end up taking advantage of the great players that it has. I'm not worried about Nick Sirianni, the head coach, though. That locker room still, I think, is all in on the guy. There was a lot of praise for him still at the end of the season. I think it was good that there was a lot of ownership from players because it was partly player performance too. There was a lot of ownership there of the players knowing they didn't play well enough and having Sirianni's back. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that the players can take ownership. And Nick Sirianni took ownership as well. He didn't make any excuses. He didn't say, this thing was going wrong or throw Brian Johnson under the bus, throw any players under the bus. He said he's got to be better. And I think there was definitely that was put into action. That wasn't just he was saying that in press conferences after the game. He wasn't just saying that. He went into Jeffrey Lurie's office and said, I know we need to make moves here. I know we need to change something up. And here's my idea of doing it. That's a coach that's aware of it. So I think there are right steps being taken to take last season as basically a learning season, like a learning process of, I know what I did wrong. Here's how I can apply it to be better, which is good. And the good thing is, too, he has two veteran coordinators side by side. He has Vic Fangio, and he also has Kellen Moore. That's a great thing. He had young coordinators. He's had young coordinators. I think the Eagles just got really lucky that they got Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen. And I know people don't like Gannon. I get it. Jonathan Gannon was a really good defensive coordinator. I think he's actually a really good head coach. And he's going to do well with Arizona. So, I like Jonathan Gannon. And I think Jonathan Gannon was great to have. They got really lucky that Shane Steichen also looks to be a great coach. And Anthony Richardson hopefully stays healthy with the Colts because that could be fun to watch in that offense. But yeah, those are two good coordinators, and they got lucky. The next batch, Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, there was definitely a lot of question marks surrounding both of those guys, and that hurt them. I think that hurt them big time, not being able to have just really good coordinators, not just really good coordinators, but promising guys, because Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen both, those were two head coaches in the making that you knew. You weren't sure about Brian Johnson. We're sure about Sean Desai. I know, though, Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio is a great coordinator. I think, or at least Kellen Moore's been around for a while, and I think Kellen Moore's a good coordinator. You just have veteran coordinators, guys that have been around the league that I think can really help Nick, and I think that's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to be a relief for him that he's not trying to mold two coordinators and figure them out and to have this thing all work. I think it's a good thing that he has established coordinators. Also, last season's kick in the ass wake-up call for Nick. I think so. I do. I truly believe that was a wake-up call. I'm like, okay, this simple offense can't just be simple. It's the NFL. It's pro football. I have to have a little bit more diversity in my scheme. And I think that's why, again, he goes into Jeffrey Lurie's office, says, I have a plan. I like Kellen Moore. Let's get Kellen Moore. Got him, and let's see if it works. All right, that is it for Green Legion Radio. Thanks to Chris Sack for coming on. Also, thanks to Sean Bernard as well for joining us at the top of the hour in the first hour to go over whatever the heck that was for the Sixers season. That was a fun show. Man, do we even need Quimby? Do we even need him? I do. I need him so I can, he can pay my check. But Quimby will be back next week. Sucks we couldn't get him on today, but Quimby officially texted me, said next week I'm on. So you can look forward to that. Quimby's return next week here on Green Legion Radio. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. It's been fun hosting this. I'm on the show next week as well, so we'll talk to you next week, 1 to 3, as always, right here, Green Legion Radio, Fox Sports The Gambler. Fox Sports Radio coming up next.
You know I like to keep my cheeks dry today.
Behind that offensive line, he's going to lead the league in rushing.
Come on, you say that all the time. Stop being a